Hello from Neptune. Dr. Neptune here. It's Sunday morning, the Lord's Day. Who's the Lord of Neptune? I am. So, today is what day is it? It's the 16th of August of 2020. And on this day in 1977, Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, died in his Memphis home, Graceland. He was 42, and so he's now been dead for longer than he was alive. I don't usually note death dates. It's a little bit morbid, but for some reason I always remember Elvis's. I prefer to remember birth dates. Elvis is January 8th, same as David Bowie. But I have an Elvis collection of which this is part, and I'll make a video of all that soon. But I was reminded of the date by the newspaper this morning, and thought I would just mention that. This, what you're looking at, by the way, this is a homemade framed set of Elvis stamps when these first came out. It was back in around 93 or so, and me and my friend Sasha, when we lived down in Georgia, we got sheets of these stamps and these little frames, piece of fabric that matched, and we created these little objects. So it's a picture that sits on my shelf to this day. Alright, so the king of rock and roll came and went, and what I'm going to show you in today's video is music that came shortly after that, and his death, that is, in 1977. And this is what I have of 80s groups. Some of them started before that and lasted past that, but 80s were their peak creative and popularity period, I think, for all these artists. And I'm going to start with the Police. So what we have here is an LP that I bought when it came out in 1980. 81, correction, when I was 14. And it was one of the first albums that I bought. I really liked the Police. I heard them on the radio a lot. 97 Rock in Buffalo, especially. And this is the Police's fourth album. It's called Ghost in the Machine. Right away, even when I was a kid, I recognized that these three symbols kind of represented the three members of the band. In fact, this one in particular looks like Sting with his spiky hair. But I like how the title suggests that something's gone amok, and the readout has been altered. And these are really kind of spiritual songs. I remember really being into them when I was a teenager. Songs like Invisible Sun, and Rehumanize Yourself, One World, Secret Journey, all those. Plus some great pop songs too, like Spirits in the Material World and Everything, Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic. I think all the Police albums are great. And this is the only one that I think I ever had. All the rest of them later on I got on CD. I used to hear them so much on the radio all the time and on MTV. Really didn't need to have, I felt like, too much of them. But I had that, and then the only single CD I had, this is a reissue that came out much later, but it's their first album, Outlandos d'Amour. And I just mainly got this so I could listen to it on the CD player in my car. Which, by the way, I just got a new car, and they don't put those in there anymore. So time marches on in technology. Here's the complete recordings of the Police, Message in a Box. So I got this after I had got that single CD I just showed. But this is everything. It's all of their albums in sequence, every track, and then B-sides and extra songs too. This collection is 93. This is one of the earlier ones of the new wave era, I would say, to to collect all this in one place. It was a must-have for most people that like the Police. There's always extensive liner notes and pictures. message in a box. And then on the same wavelength as the Police in many ways is the English Beat. It's known as the Beat in England, but there was an American band called the Beat, so in the US they're known as English Beat. But this is a collection of all of their works. It's not that much, they didn't last that long, but they were super popular in their day, and in America too, kind of a cult band. This is, I think, there's 3 albums and then a disc of extras. So, just can't stop it. Lappin'. Special beat service. Great mix of pop and ska and reggae. Police and English Beat toured together, I think, on the Zenyatta Mandata tour. They were really kindred souls in a lot of ways in their sounds. So I always loved the Beat. And after their brief career as a complete group, they splintered off into Fine Young Cannibals and General Public. Ranking Roger just recently passed away. That's him. Very young man there, they all were. Dave Wakeling, the main singer of the Beat. These 2 guys went off to form Fine Young Cannibals. This gentleman also, his name is Saxa, he was a saxophone player, much older than all the rest of the band, and he's passed away now too. But I think the Beat still does reform now and then for reunion shows and the like. And then I'm including this group in there too, Bow Wow Wow, led by Annabelle, and consisting mainly of band members from the early days of Adam and the Ants, who then went on to form Bow Wow Wow with this, I think she was about 14 at the time, this singer. This cover attracted a huge amount of controversy because, of course, she's naked. It's a kind of recreation of a famous painting, forget by who, but a 19th century painting of a picnic in the park. But nevertheless, it did certainly attract a lot of attention there. So Bow Wow Wow has a cool sound, a lot of almost jungle beat type sounds. This one is their complete recordings, Your Box Set Pet. Another group that had a pretty limited recording output. They had great titles though. Their first, I'll show you what's inside. So this is reproductions of the original artwork. So there's that one, which I had as an EP. But this is the complete album. So the title of the album is See Jungle, Go Join Your Gang, Yeah, City All Over, Go Ape Crazy, which is part of their first song, their Jungle Boy. And then, let's see, I'm not sure which order these were in. This one is called, sorry for that flipping, When the Going Gets Tough, the Tough Get Going. Okay, and then there's the track listing there. And this is singles, B-sides, and remixes. Their most popular song, the best known one, is I Want Candy. It's a remake of an old 60s song, but all their music is really fun. Worth checking out. A kind of almost forgotten band, I think, now. Alright, and then the next complete collection I have is this. It's the Smiths. The Smiths Complete. It's a reissue of all of their albums with the original artwork as well. So, Hat Full of Hollow, The World Won't Listen. That's a compilation album. Louder Than Bombs, also a compilation. I like that they have the original artwork, but I had this album, and in the gatefold there's the lyrics. When it's this small though, I find it pretty much impossible to read, even with a magnifying glass or aid of some type. So I appreciate the effort, but in the end, really kind of useless. Rank is a great live album. Smiths recorded live are fantastic. A lot of energy in these songs, and their crowds were pretty enthusiastic, as you can see there. They're ripping apart Morrissey's shirt at one gig. And this is their first album. The second one, Meat is Murder. And The Queen is Dead. I think they're most successful. And to me, they're best. There they are. Oh, Strange Ways, Here We Come. I think underrated among Smiths fans, but I really like a couple songs on here a lot, like Death of a Disco Dancer and Unhappy Birthday. Okay, so that was all of their output. They had broken up by the end of the 80s, and Morrissey went on to his own solo career, which he still has. Because The Queen is Dead is my favorite Smiths album, I got this too. This is a special reissue with some different versions, demos, singles, B-sides, and then a complete live concert from that era from Boston. Again, they sound super powerful and really, in fact, raucous. The crowd is just extraordinary. Morrissey's concerts were like that. I don't know if he still performs, but famous for having insane fans. So here's the remastered version of the original album, Queen is Dead. That's French actor Alain Delon on the cover. Smiths and Morrissey are famous for putting old film stars in their visuals. So 2 discs of that. Here's the Live in Boston set. That's Jack Kerouac on the cover. Kerouac and all the beats were very strong influence on Morrissey's lyrics. He's been very explicit about that. I love this picture. This is William Burroughs pretending to attack Kerouac during what was obviously a fun night. Kind of recreates the energy that you hear from the crowd in this gig too. And then this, I believe, is a DVD. Yeah, or a couple of videos of theirs. The thing about the Smiths videos, in fact, the thing about a lot of these 80s bands videos is they're terrible. Even at the time, I remember thinking they can't do any better than this. They would either be super literal, just obvious attempts to replicate the lyrics of the song, or they would be just obnoxiously pretentious and artsy. That's what a lot of the Smiths ones are like. So it's cracked me up how this music that I love has some of the worst videos that I've ever seen. And then I have just a few things from Morrissey's solo career. Early on, one of the first things he put out was called Bon a Drag. This is a well-worn CD from the time. Collection of singles. This one is My Love Life. Oh, it got eaten by something. Morrissey and the Smiths had always put out many B-sides for their releases. This is a good one called Vauxhall and I. This is an outstanding performance by Morrissey live at Earl's Court in London. There's a DVD or a video that goes with this too. Here's You Are the Quarry, Morrissey is a gangster. Ringleader of the Tormentors, Morrissey is a violin player. Years of Refusal, Morrissey is, I don't know what he's doing with that child, but I don't think that's the way you're supposed to hold a kid, too. And then here, this is a reissue of an album called Maladjusted. Right. Okay, so that's Morrissey and the Smiths. Next up is one of my all-time favorite bands, Echo and the Bunnymen. And so I have all of their individual CD releases. I think they're all re-releases, yeah. So they all have bonus tracks. I had, I think, all of them originally on LP. And I saw this group with New Order in about '86, one of the greatest shows ever. Echo and the Bunnymen, I would call them a new wave group. Crocodiles, their first album there. The singer is Ian McCulloch, him, who has one of the most extraordinary voices in rock, one that I just love hearing. A very high voice, very rich voice, almost operatic at times. Just an incredible singer. And what I'm showing you, I think, are the first 5 Echo and the Bunnymen albums. So this is the third one, Porcupine. This one has some of the hardest rock sounds on it, from '83. And after the '80s came and went, Echo and the Bunnymen kind of broke up and reformed. This is a reissue of that same album I just showed, Porcupine, so I have 2 versions of that. Their drummer died. Pete DeFreitas was his name. And he died in a motorcycle accident in Europe towards the end of the '80s. And then the other members carried on without McCulloch under the same name, Echo and the Bunnymen, I think, for a couple albums. McCulloch himself has had a solo career. This is their masterpiece, I think, Ocean Rain, their 4th album from 1984. This has a lot of strings on it, orchestral sounding music, really just epitomizes, I think, the drama of the Echo and the Bunnymen sound. But McCulloch's voice, unfortunately, is not the same as it was. I don't think any singer's does remain the same over time. So after the '80s, McCulloch, I really just don't listen to him or when he's with the Bunnymen. This is greatest hits. Because his voice just isn't the same. It doesn't hit those high, clear notes that he used to. Sure, not his fault, although maybe he could have smoked less, but yeah, it's just not the same singer or band that I knew from back then, but still always one of my favorites. This is their 5th and I think their most popular album in the US, with Lips Like Sugar, big single from that, also Bedbugs and Ballyhoo. The Doors' Ray Manzarek played with them on this Doors song, Soul Kitchen. So this would have been '87. And then they have a career spanning box set called Crystal Days. You see it goes up to '99, so it does include some of their later work. But by my estimation, it doesn't measure up to the early stuff. So this is a 4 CD set. The glue on the plastic CD holders long ago dried up, so I can't keep the CDs in here. They're somewhere else, but the usual liner notes and pictures and anecdotes. Alright, and then here, this is the most unusually shaped box set that I have, which makes it both one of my favorites and one of my least favorites, because it's kind of hard to figure out where to put it with all the other stuff. What this is, though, is the Talking Heads. And so this is a compilation of their work. Got this artwork. This is not done by any of the members of the Talking Heads, but it's the same artist all the way through this set. Okay, so this opens up like this. Here's the track listing. You'll recognize many of these songs. It's chronologically organized. So from the late 70s to, I guess, early 90s, I think. So 3 CDs and a DVD is what that is. And these would be music videos. It's even hard to show. Let's see. Essays, pictures, and so forth. Yeah. Once in a lifetime. I'm finding I don't have much to say because I'm a little confounded by how to actually look through this, but it's Talking Heads. And David Byrne, after Talking Heads, has gone on a solo career, and this is a weird thing that he did with Fatboy Slim and a bunch of other artists. As you can see, what this says is a song cycle about Imelda Marcos, former First Lady of the Philippines, and Estrella Campos, who was the woman who raised Imelda. Imelda grew up in poverty. And so this is David Byrne and Fatboy Slim, the British DJ and musician, along with a bunch of other artists. So it's like a show, like as if it were a Broadway show with all-star singers. So you can see just some of the credits here. Vocals by different people. Norman Cook is Fatboy Slim's real name, so Byrne and Cook wrote, I think, most of the songs. Vocals here by Sharon Jones from Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings. I don't know who Ellis Russell is. Kate Pearson is from B-52s. Byrne himself sings there. Santa Gold, Sia. Here's a Cyndi Lauper, Tori Amos, Natalie Merchant. So I haven't listened to this probably since it came out back in whenever it was. But I'm going to, because I was looking through this just earlier, and it looks like it's really interesting stuff. I remember, just in my memory, the music I remember enjoying. This is such an odd subject, I guess. I didn't really connect with it too much at first. I'm going to give it another listen. So this Byrne and Fatboy Slim. And Fatboy Slim was one of my favorite artists in the 90s, known for his big beat DJ music. So here's a couple of his things that I have. His first album, Better Living Through Chemistry. Fatboy Slim, aka Norman Cook, was also in a British band in the 80s called the House Martins. He played bass, I think, and sang. He had a couple minor hits, but then he became much more famous as Fatboy Slim. His whole series of releases I really liked all through the late 90s. His live... I was intrigued at the idea of a live album of a DJ set from a nightclub. Works, though. And he remixed a lot of other artists' songs, too, put the big beat on those. And most notably, this one, Corner Shop, a UK group, with their song Brimful of Asha. And this is his great remix of it that I listened to many, many times back in the day. So then that brings us full circle. This is the last thing I have to show in terms of collections from the 80s, since we were talking just now about Fatboy Slim, DJ music. This is a 4 CD set called The Perfect Beats, and it's all As you see here, New York Electro, Hip Hop, and Underground Dance Classics, 80 to 85, and it came in 4 volumes. I bought them individually. I didn't know at the time that they were available as a complete set, and the set came in a plastic crate, like a milk crate that DJs used to use to carry their 12-inch singles around, so that would have been cool to have. But this is all great music from that era, including names there like Yaz, Yellow, Kraftwerk, Shannon's Let the Music Plays on here, there on top, New Order. So a nice mix of European and American artists from different places. There's Heaven 17, African Bambaataa, with the old school design too. Okay, so that's my journey through the 80s up to the 90s and back. Hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching and listening, and if you liked it, please click like, and I will be back soon.